this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Get It Right Texoma with the trio, Mike Handler and Terry McAdams, Trey Serralo. We're happy to have you here. This podcast being recorded in the MacTech Solutions podcast studio at 4020 Ray Road here in Wichita Falls. That's where MacTech Solutions is located, one of our sponsors. Get them online at mactech-solutions.com. Also brought to you by Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop. Get them online at lpsweet.com and on Facebook as well.
Yes, and cookies. I always want cookies.
They're unbelievable cookies.
And heard rumors of a pie maybe
next week you're getting a chocolate meringue pie.
I know it's shocking to think that I like cookies. I know looking at this, I would think that. Yeah. I bet that guy never eats anything sweet. But
I'm telling you, man.
Believe it or not, I really don't eat a lot of sweets, but cookies are my kryptonite.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm shaped like a cookie.
Yeah.
And also brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, located at 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls since 1966. EddieHillsFunCycles.com website.
For all your power sports needs in Texoma.
Exactly. Everything.
Yes.
Even lawnmowers.
Yes, Hustler. I got
Hustler
it.
dealer.
Yes.
Zero turn. I needed mine this week. Because my grass was growing by the you could look at it and close your eyes and go like this and look again, and it was growing again.
Pretty much bail that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Skip McBride's, it's his fault that I can't get into mine to mow the lawn because I don't mow during the week, and it's been raining every weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cut out a couple hours early the other day. It took 4 hours, but I mowed it. I knocked it all out Tuesday night.
Well, guys, don't worry. Pretty soon, it's going to be hot. It's going to be dry, and everybody will be sitting around complaining. It's hot. It's hot.
Well, Trooper,
whiners.
my dog Trooper is lost in the grass. He was short anyway.
Trooper's out there
You
somewhere.
need to put those ATV whip flags on his butt so you can see him walking around.
Well, I do have an air tag on him. So
So you literally have a tracking device on your dog.
I have air tags on.
Yeah.
I bought a couple of air tags up there on a couple of my dogs.
Yeah.
Well, we live in the country.
Yeah.
And it's one of those deals they can be off anywhere. Now, of course, if they're in the middle of nowhere, the air tags won't work.
Right. Because
they have to be close to somebody with an iPhone. But chances are, it's not like we live in the boondocks.
Right.
We live in the country, but we kind of live in a neighborhood thing. Right. Yeah. So chances are
they'll go by somebody's house, and it'll be within 30, 40 feet.
So if they wander off the estate.
Yes.
Yeah, the palatial estate. Yeah.
So,
Well, I'll ascend to my watchtower and observe them.
If they get past the moat.
alligators. And,
there you go.
there we go. All right.
Where are we
See,
going?
We have a lot of
here?
fun here
we
sometimes,
do.
So
We do.
Speaking
I'll
of
tell
Eddie
you.
Hills Fun Cycles, we have a big event coming up.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Saturday.
So
On Saturday. Which will be tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That
listening
is?
to this.
Yes, because we're going to publish this Friday.
So it'll be it'll be a Cassie-sanctioned chili event. Cassie is Chili Appreciation Society International. These are the people that are serious about chili. They're the ones that go to Terlingua and have the international competition every year.
Yeah.
And they have qualifier events. And ours is one of the qualifier events. They have to go and they have to place a certain amount and get enough points at these qualifier events to qualify to go to Terlingua. Okay. So everybody that's going to be there is a serious chili cook. Yeah. I guess if you want to show up and cook, you can. If you're not a Cassie member, we'll still judge your chili, but you can't win any points.
Right.
But what we're doing this year that is different, we're having a People's Choice Award. So there'll be Cassie judges, which all three of us are going to be judges, and there'll be some other judges. But then if you want to come in, it'll be probably a minimum of $5. You'll get 5 cups, and there'll be taster cups. You can go around and get taster cups from all of these cooks, and then you get to vote for the People's Choice Award, and I actually have a People's Choice Award this year.
All right.
So it's not just coming out and watching people cook. You can actually get to taste their chili this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, I invited my wife, and so she's going to be a judge as well.
That's right.
And she goes, as long as there's not any beans.
Nope, no beans.
Okay, good.
No,
All right.
it's Texas chili.
Good. No.
It is beef. There's no other meat other than beef in it. There's no beans in it, no filler and stuff like that. So
These folks, you put beans in your chili, you're losing your driver's license, your citizenship,
Texas citizenship,
your man card, everything.
You're
getting deported to like Paraguay. You're done.
Might deport you to New York City.
Well, or California. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is fun to see, and you can come by. The cooks will start showing up about 9 probably in cooking. They set up little easy ups, and there's a showmanship part of it too that's interesting. But the tasting will start at 11, and we'll go from 11 to 12:30 will be the tasting time that you can come in and do your tasting. And then I think turn in for the cooks is at 1, so all the judges need to be there at 12:45 if you're an official judge. And if you are, I've already contacted you.
Okay. So somewhere around 1 o'clock we're judging.
Roughly, yes.
Roughly 1 o'clock. And it goes pretty quickly.
Sure,
by 1:30 we're pretty much done.
It depends on how many entries you have.
Yeah,
but generally we'll have 10 to 12 entries, 10 to 14 entries.
So, 1:30, 1:45 judging's done. And then shortly thereafter they'll
awards
have the points compiled and awards will be handed out.
And then after the chili
quotations will
cook,
commence if beans are present.
downtown, it's Loco for Cinco. Of course, it's not Cinco de Mayo, it's Quattro de Mayo, but Cinco's on a Sunday, so they're going to do it on the 4th. And that is going to be on Travis Street this year. I believe that's right. Over by where the old square dance place is. Isn't that on Travis Street?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So anyhow, there's going to be boxing. It's going to be a sanctioned boxing event. There's going to be the dancers, mariachi bands, lots of food, vendors and stuff, all to celebrate the Hispanic culture. So if you have a chance, and that starts at 2, and I believe it goes till 10 or 10:30. Yeah. So come down and check it out at the Chili at Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles, and go maybe get some tacos or burritos or something. There's going to be what's going on.
There's going to be some good food.
Absolutely,
for sure. There's going to be some good food.
But Loco for Cinco is the website or the Facebook or whatever it is to find out all the details. Yeah. And I believe one of the charities is the Mexican American Veterans, the MAVA, Mexican American Veterans Association.
Awesome indeed. One other thing too, I want to mention real quick: the downtown art walk is back. It's going, and that's it's at the first Thursday of every month.
Right.
So
it was yesterday.
Yeah. Right. So you've missed the May, but just keep it in mind for June it goes through October.
Yeah. If you're a vendor, you hook up with, I think, the downtown development.
I think that's
correct.
Yeah. And they set you up with that, but. That has become such a major event downtown.
Oh, there's a bunch of people down there. It is a really cool event.
Pretty much every downtown business takes part in it.
Sure, and then plus all of the farmers market is open. Yeah. The downtown farmers market. I don't know about the other one, but they're open. And they have a lot of different stuff. Plus, there's a lot of street vendors out there. There are. It's a really cool thing.
It's a huge
just
party.
Go around, just see kind of who's who. Just walk around and see people in Wichita Falls.
Well, let's talk a little bit about these prairie dogs in Kiwanis Park that are being relocated. Apparently, these things are, I guess, they're escaping from Kiwanis Park. They're getting into town. They're getting into people's yards. They're causing problems. So now they're going to relocate them out to Lake Arrowhead. So now they become your problem. Now they're going to show up at the estate.
Well, no, they're going to Lake Arrowhead. They're not going to Arrowhead Ranch Estate. So.
Oh, I don't know. Ain't what I heard. I heard they're coming to your place, man. They're going to drop
at my house. Prairie dogs at my house. It probably would not be the best at my house. They'll be relocated, but they may be really good to prairie dog heaven.
You'll drop them in the moat.
No, I don't mind prairie dogs, but they're not good where we live because they are bad for livestock.
Right.
There have been a lot of horses, a lot of cattle that have broken legs in prairie dog holes. They dig holes, and the holes are they're about the right size for a hoofed animal to get their hoof in there and break a leg. So, but I think what sparked this is people were driving by and seeing the prairie dogs at Kiwanis Park. Mm-hmm. By the way, Kiwanis Park is off Southwest Parkway, and they've got a prairie dog town. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. It's right here in Wichita Falls. You go check it out and watch the little prairie dogs, and they're fun. But they started seeing red flags everywhere. The people started going, uh-oh, are they going to euthanize prairie dogs? And they are not going to euthanize the prairie dogs. But the problem you have is they can be an invasive species. Yes. They have a compound out there, but when they get out, they get into people's yards. They can disrupt water lines and that sort of thing, anything underground. The other thing is they can actually disrupt streets. So this Southwest Parkway is right there. Well, the last thing you need is prairie dogs tunneling under your street, because if they tunnel under, at 6 or 8 inches, it ruins the integrity of the pavement.
That's right.
So it is important for them to, and by the way, prairie dogs and cars don't mix very well.
No.
So it's good for everybody. The prairie dogs need to go. They're not relocating all of them. They'll still have some of them out there, but I guess they mate like rabbits or something. They procreate very well. So there's a big spot, and I think it's like 30 acres or something. It's a huge spot out by Lake Arrowhead somewhere. Yeah. And the city of Wichita Falls is working with whomever has that spot.
Right.
And they're going to relocate the prairie dogs. So never fear, if you're a prairie dog lover, they're not going to euthanize them. They're going to relocate them.
And I do wonder, frankly, how is this going to affect the ecology and everything of the lake area. Because as you mentioned, they do reproduce pretty prolifically. And so you could have an explosion of these prairie dogs in a very short period of time.
I think there's a kind of a designated area that they are. And by the way, they're going to have some predators out there too. Yeah. There's a lot of coyotes and stuff that live out there. I mean, you can hear them light up, and there's coyotes and snakes and that sort of thing. So prairie dogs are going to, it's survival of the fittest. Yeah. They're going to be out there, but they will have a little bit more competition out there. Well, so or even we'll see how it works. Even maybe the onus to keep them in their holes a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we've talked at great length on this podcast about this. We've had the mayor's talked about it. I think Ron Kitchens may have even touched on it briefly when he was here with us, and Ron's going to be back with us, I think, soon
in June.
On the show.
I think the mayor will be as well.
The mayor's going to be back. He said he would, and I know they will. But anyway, the Lake Ringgold project. We've been talking about this, and we haven't. This has been a topic of conversation in this area for over 60 years. Mm-hmm. The Lake Ringgold concept, I think, first appeared in the late 50s or early 60s, about the same time the Lake Arrowhead project did. And if I remember the story correctly, Arrowhead ended up getting the nod. It ended up getting built. I think they officially impounded the lake in 67 or 68, Lake Arrowhead. And so it takes years from the time that idea comes to fruition until they get it built. It takes a long time, and now it takes longer than ever.
It's even much more red tape now than it was in the 60s.
Yeah, there is a lot of red tape. There's a lot of bureaucratic and environmental red tape that a lot of hoops you got to jump through to build a lake. You don't just go out there and dam up a section of river and go, okay, here's where the lake's going to be.
Now they have to do environmental studies, make sure that there's not like a crested nut squirrel or something that lives out there that you might change its ecology.
Not a kangaroo rat turd somewhere out there, and then all of a sudden the whole project's on hold.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Lake Ringgold project, they've been pushing. This is, we are told, the last available reservoir location in the watershed area here in North Texas that services both Lake Kickapoo and Lake Arrowhead.
It's the last one on the Little Wichita River.
On the Little Wichita River. And so this will be in Clay County. The property and the lake will be owned by the city of Wichita Falls, but all of the lake will lie within Clay County.
It's actually like Lake Arrowhead. Lake Arrowhead is in Clay County.
Yeah.
But the city owns the property and the property immediately around it.
Yeah, at least some of it. And this project now, we're finally at the, I guess, the permitting stage of this, the official permitting stage of this. And the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ, they have the final say in this. Their word is going to be golden here. And if they give it the nod, if they okay the permit, then things continue to move forward. And the pace at which they move forward will increase dramatically once this is approved.
It'll go from half a snail to maybe snail's pace.
Maybe a snail's pace, yeah. We might live long enough to see this lake built. Maybe.
If this approval process goes through.
If the approval process goes through, and if everything goes smoothly, we may actually live to see this lake built. It takes a long time to get these things done, but this is a long-term planning thing. They're looking at the future of the city and the region 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road.
Even 100 years
Even 100, yeah. So anyway, they're going to have, the TCEQ is going to hold a hearing, 9:30 a.m. On May the 10th, so 1 week from today, basically. This is Friday. You'll be seeing this podcast for the first time. May 10th in Austin at 9:30. And each of the interested parties that are involved in this, that'd be the city, the administrative law judge who conducted hearings on this, the TCEQ executive director, and others, will each have about 10 minutes to make their argument or make their case for or against this.
Right, including the landowner. See, part of this boils down to there's a land rights issue here.
That's right.
And that's kind of one of the big holdups with people in Clay County is that the city will have to claim eminent domain to do this.
Yes.
And take people's land away. And that's always a very sticky situation.
Yes.
And Deborah Clark was on our radio show a couple times with us, and she is probably one of the most vocal opponents of this in Clay County because a large portion of Lake Ringgold would have to be on her property or a portion of it, but it's a number of acres on her property.
That's correct.
That would have to be taken to create Lake Ringgold.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And she will be there in Austin. I guarantee. I've already checked with her to make sure. It will be live streamed. If you are interested in this, if you're for it or against it or just interested in it, you'll probably have to Google search something about TCEQ hearing or something May 10th, but it will be live streamed, so you don't have to go to Austin to watch it.
Yeah. But this has probably been one of the most controversial topics that the city has stumbled into ever. It has been a point of contention now for over 6 decades. And it is, the people that are arguing in favor of it say we absolutely have to have this. If we want to secure the future of the area and we want to ensure growth of the area, we have to bolster our water capacity. And the argument for this is this does that. Having this additional reservoir will do that. You can build a lake, you still got to fill it up. Mm-hmm. Still got to do that. But at the same time, though, the argument is that if we want to ensure the future and the future growth of the area, growth is almost inevitable. We're going to grow some.
At some point.
At some point.
We haven't grown yet since 1960.
No, but at some point we're going to, because and you look at and I use this as evidence of this. When you look at the development in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, everything is marching north now.
Yes.
Look at how Decatur has exploded in the last decade. Denton. Look how Denton is nearly unrecognizable now compared to what it was 20 years ago.
19 exits, I believe. When you go down I-35, it says Denton next 19 exits.
Yes.
19 exits. I remember when it was 2.
Yeah. Well, I remember when there
were 2 colleges there.
And there were 2 blinking lights, I mean, it was Denton has absolutely exploded in the last few years. Decatur is growing rapidly. That population is marching north. And I really believe it may happen in our lifetime. I don't know. It depends on how explosive that growth continues in that area. There's going to come a point where you're not going to know where Bowie ends and Decatur begins.
Well, I think, wasn't it Ron Kitchens that said on this program that he read somewhere that I want to say 2035, 2040, that they're predicting that the Dallas-Fort Worth area will be the largest metropolitan area in the country?
That is correct.
It will outstretch Los Angeles.
Yes.
Like if you go to Los Angeles, I was in L.A. a couple of weeks ago driving through there.
Yeah.
And Los Angeles, Anaheim, Laguna Hills, Laguna Beach. I mean, all of those, Long Beach, they just run together. There are no, it's not like there's a city limit sign and you have a little bit of country and you go to another city limit sign. No, the city limit signs are basically on the same pole.
Yeah.
Well, on this, I actually pulled up an article. It's out of Dallas-Fort Worth on WFAA TV down there, Channel 8. And it's talking about this controversy. This was from December, but it was when the judge, Christian Ciano, called the project oversized. That's why he recommended denying it, the application. And according to the article here, the city's projection for population increase is 120,000 people by 2070. And, of course, as we all know, during the 2020 census, we went from 104,000 to about 102,000. Now,
I'm going to tell you.
Can argue that it's arguable that was an undercount, but those are the numbers that we got. So it's kind of.
Well, if you're in the real estate business, it sure seems like it does.
Yeah.
I can tell you from being in the real estate business myself and also having been involved in the 2020 census. In fact, I was involved in both the 2010 and the 2020 census, both of them. And I'm going to tell you right now, we undercounted. Things were rushed. Thank you, pandemic, excuse me, and everything was rushed, and we undercounted. I promise you, we undercounted. I guarantee. I will bet money we undercounted. Yeah. Did we grow by 10,000? No. Did we decrease by 2,000? I don't think so.
Somewhere in between.
Somewhere in the middle is the truth. I think, personally, we probably either stayed flat or increased a little bit.
I would think closer to flat.
But if we increased it all, it was by 15 to 2,500 people, perhaps. It wasn't a lot. But we did undercount. And part of that was the fact that the census got started late and had to wrap. There was a hard, fast date that census had to be wrapped up, because that data has to be submitted so that the Department of Commerce can get that data compiled and get everything tabulated and get ready to disseminate that data. They had a deadline they had to meet, and everybody involved in the census had to meet that deadline.
I hate these bullshit government hard dates. There's just no reason for it. Get it right. If it takes an extra month or 2 months or whatever, get it right. I'd rather it be right than everybody rush to get some BS that somebody pulled out of their hind end.
I agree with you. And if it had been up to me, that's exactly what we would have done. We would have added an extra 30 days or 60 days or whatever it took to do it right. But as it were, we ended up with, at that point, President Trump basically said, get it done. Yeah, we have to have this data in.
Well, it's a constitutional requirement.
It is.
It might be, but did it start it on the right? Started on time or extend the time?
But I think there's.
We started late because everybody was scared.
Well, but I also think that there's probably some built-in triggers based on the numbers, and they have to be in, and then that sets the tone for the next 10 years because
it might. But if you're going to start late, why? If you can change the starting time, why can't you change it any time?
Let me add this, guys. So they're talking about the projection is 120,000 by 2070.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and I cite the march in population, the growth coming north from the Metroplex. There's going to come a point where that growth from Decatur into Monte, and further in Decatur's in Wise County. So then you get into Monte County, the Bowie area,
or Montague if you're a new weatherman here in town.
That makes me want to slap. It really does. As that population march continues to head north, ultimately, some of that is going to spill into Clay County and Wichita County.
Absolutely.
It will. I promise you it will. Why? Because we have something that all of these people want. We have land. We have room to grow.
Space.
We have space. And that's what people want. And if you talk to anybody, and again, as a real estate agent, I talk to a lot of people, and I have helped a lot of people relocate to our area from the West Coast, from up north, from large metro areas. And they all have one goal. They want more room. They want more space. They want a little bit less traffic. Had a couple that relocated here from Southern California, San Diego area. And that was their number one thing. They wanted more room.
Gas prices. The most expensive gas I saw was $6.24 right at the harbor in San Diego.
And it's gone up since you were there.
2 weeks ago?
It's gone up in 2 weeks. It's gone up more.
Wow.
These people want more room. And the same thing is going to happen with people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And as a matter of fact, as recently as 90 days ago, I was working with some clients, and these are, I'm not talking about, retirees who have had enough and they're ready to go. These people are in their 40s.
Right.
And they were moving out of Denton. They wanted out of there. They've had enough of it. They wanted to come north and find some place with some more elbow room, less stress, more breathing room, and they came to Wichita Falls, Texas is where they came.
And what can happen is because the prices of housing has exploded down there, if you own a house or have some equity in your home, you could sell it, you can move away from there a little bit, and you can have more land, nicer house, and still have money left over.
Yeah. So, and where you live, where your home is located, both you guys live in Clay County. Mm-hmm. And right now you have the luxury, if you want to call it that, of living in an area that's not heavily populated. You got neighbors, but you don't have, you're not literally 3 feet apart.
You can't
from one
swing a cat and hit them.
Exactly. You've got some space right now. And I think both of you would agree. 30 or 40 years down the road, that's going to change. That's going to change big time.
I think it will some, but we'll see. We'll see. I think there's just a lot of empty land out there, though, so I don't know that people will build right on top of us. I think it'll be, but I do think there'll be more 10-acre plots that are just ranch land right now.
Yeah, and you're going to have more of those large acreage plots, homes that'll all be in that 250 up price range, 260 up price range. That's what's going to happen, guys. It's coming. That's where we're headed.
Real quickly, let me get off topic, just to make a comment on that because we need to button this one up. I was in the Metroplex and I was driving by. They have the new home additions that are going in and stuff like that, and it said prices from the 350s to the 1.2 millions, and I'm like, well, how would that be crazy? You live in a $350 house, and you're the ghetto person in the neighborhood. You live in the hood.
2 blocks away is the $1 million home.
You're the baby house, and you got a $350,000 house.
And I will tell you, the median price in there is probably somewhere around $550, $600.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's probably about where the median is in that development, is around $600.
Well, to button this up, so next Friday on May 10th, if you want to live stream, if you want to go to Austin, go to Austin. Yeah. But if you don't, you want to live stream if you want to hear the whole hearing for this TCEQ. And you can get all the scoop that direction there.
Yep.
Let's talk about protesters, man. I'm fired up.
Protesters.
I am so glad.
Do you have an opinion?
No, one or two.
Well,
look, I am. First off, let me tell you, and I've said this a million times all the years I've been on the radio and stuff like that. I am 100% for the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
And if you want to peacefully protest and say names, and I get tired of hearing people say those people are anti-Semitic. So what? If somebody stands over there and says,
let them be, but just don't physically get in the way.
That's where I'm going. Yeah. You say what you want to in this country within reason. Yeah. But if you want to stand over somewhere and go, I hate Jewish people, or I hate Palestinians, or I hate whatever, so what? If you stand over there and run your trap, who cares? But the instant you get in somebody's way, you impede their movement, you lay your hands on them, all bets are off. Now you violated their First Amendment right. And so now it becomes a will of why are your rights more important than my rights? And I was so pissed off at first to see where Columbia University seemed to be the epicenter of this, where they were negotiating with these morons and letting them camp out, which, by the way, they're impeding people's movement.
The movement, yeah.
And that's a problem. And they're shutting classes down. But then when they break into a building and technically hold hostages, I mean, let's be fair, they weren't holding them at gunpoint, but it's still technically you're holding hostages if you want to get technical about it. And then they were trying to negotiate with them. Bullshit. Send the police in like what they did. Send the police in and drag them out. Now, let me be clear. The police should not hurt them. The police should not beat the shit out of them because that's not their job. And I'm against that. That would be police brutality. But cuffing them and dragging them out of there is fine. Now, I'm for what I would like to see, and there's been a little bit of this, I would like to see some of these other students in the colleges who are not government employees to go get physical with these guys and go, hey, I'm going to, like, for instance, there was some of the protesters were trying to take down an American flag. I believe this is in South Carolina. And there was a fraternity that went and said, bullshit, you're not. So now, are you going to impede my rights? Because once you lay your hands on me, you're bought and paid for.
Have you noticed, though, these protesters, all these tents look just alike?
Oh, yeah, they're new.
Who's funding this? Who's financing these protests? Who's supplying them with the tents? Who's supplying them with food and water and all the stuff? Someone's bankrolling these protests.
Absolutely.
Who's behind it? It's just like a few years ago when we were having all these riots, and these pallets full of bricks and rocks would just show up on an intersection somewhere right before a riot would break out.
Gee.
Who's doing that? And it's the same thing. Like,
you think the Lord miracled them there?
let me tell you something right now. There are some people out there that want to see this country destroyed. They want this kind of division. They want this to happen because it gives them ammunition to control the people. Rather than trying to make a full frontal attack on the Constitution and suspend the Bill of Rights, for example, they're doing an end run around the Constitution and stirring up so much division and anger and dissent in the country, riots breaking out, protests that turn violent, that all of a sudden you've got an excuse for law enforcement and maybe even the military to move in and declare martial law, for example.
Well, at least arrest the protesters.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want the cops roughing them up. I mean, now, if you fight back, then you get what you get because you shouldn't lay hands on a police officer. But if a police officer calmly tells you to put your hands behind your back and arrest you, they shouldn't slam you on the ground and bust you up. But where we need to be, where I think these prosecutors and the police need to have leeway is if you witness a person going, I'm going to go to the library, and 3 people are standing your way and going, bullshit, I'm going to the library. You don't have a right to stand in my way, and I walk through you. Mm-hmm. That person who decided to walk through them should get a pass. Because at some point you have to take back your own rights.
Well, we've been seeing this.
You can't be a victim.
We've been seeing this for years. People blocking highways, impeding traffic, stopping emergency vehicles from getting through.
Drag them out. And I've seen people stop on some of the California highways, and they'll get out and they'll drag people out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you stop me, if you impede somebody's movement, as far as I'm concerned, they have the right. They don't have the right to kill you, but they have the right to move you.
Well, I guarantee you put your hands on me, it's going to get Western real quick.
But I'm just saying, it's just one of those deals. They have a right to move you, not to hurt you. Right. Now, unless you choose. And I'm going to tell you, I've watched some of the videos. This would be a pretty easy move. Get about 4 or 5 students together and go, okay, we're going to walk through this line. Mm-hmm. I guarantee there's not many MMA fighters in there.
No.
You see these guys? I saw a guy.
No.
It was so funny. Of course, he had a man bun, which is already an indication. You got 15 bracelets and a man bun. I already have an opinion about you. But this guy goes running in a group, and he's got looks like a 6 foot long plank from a picket fence, probably 6 foot long, 3 inches wide. And he's running his group, and he's doing this, and somebody comes out and goes like this, and he goes, turns around and goes the other way. He's like, dude, you got a plank.
You got a weapon in your hand. I'm telling you.
No, you're a Billy Badass, aren't you?
Yeah.
Just stand up to all I'm saying is stand up to people.
Yep.
I'm not saying rough them up. I'm not saying hurt people unless they force you to hurt them. But stand up to people. Do not be a victim. That's the biggest thing. Do not allow yourself to be a victim.
Defend yourself, but also advance your rights. Just move.
We have
physically and otherwise.
We have to start pushing back on what I think is a concerted effort to damage this country.
Well, I'm seeing it. I think we're seeing it. We're seeing some of the students in some of these places. Well, first off, in Austin, that riot lasted about 10 minutes before they sent the police in to disperse that thing. Which, like I said, if it's protesting, that's fine. But when you start impeding people's movement, it's a different thing. But I think what we're seeing students that are in these universities that are paying a lot of money to be there, and they're losing their education, and they're being impeded. They're going, bullshit, I'm not putting up with it.
And then I'm going to point out that also that not everybody has got the wherewithal to stand up to these folks, but they still have the right to go to the library or go and do what they need to do.
In the mass, you do.
Well, you're right.
Get a group, get 15 of your friends and go, we're going to go to the library.
Sure, right. But
I guess those 3 goobers there with man buns are not going to stop you.
But what I was going to say is that I'm going to use this against the same people that are up here trying to uphold whatever it is they're trying to do. If you were on the other side of it, you would be the first to start claiming, their whole, even if they're just standing there intimidating others, that is not right either way. Right. That you have a place to be, but just be a good, decent human being.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Don't be a dick.
Well, thank you. We're going to wrap this one up.
By the way, there's a really good, real quickly on this. You guys can search this. There's a video out there, and it's one of the colleges somewhere, and this guy, the police officer's leading a guy out who was arrested, and the guy falls down and starts screaming and squalling. I mean, this guy's like 6'2". He starts squalling, "You're hurting me, you're hurting me." The police officer was clearly leading him with his hands behind his back. He wasn't dragging him. The guy hits the ground, And the cop just grabs him, scoops him up, and carries him like
yeah.
a
I saw
piece of
that.
luggage.
I saw that.
I was like, all right.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap this one up, guys. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Get It Right Texoma, brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, EddieHillsFunCycles.com, MacTech Solutions, MacTech-Solutions.com, and Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop, LPSweet.com. And we will see you next time with another episode. It's coming. Just patience, y'all.
What does 3.144 have to do with it?
Gotta have a talk with the chef.
Chocolate meringue.
That's for all you math nerds.
All right. Until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. We will see you on the road.